minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hi, it's Candace Patton, and you're listening to the Flash Podcast.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Flash Podcast, your podcast for all things related to series The Flash. So I'm Grant Gustin as Barry Allen, aka The Flash. I'm your host, Andy B, as always, and we're live on youtube.com/DC Podcast. Hello, everyone in the live show. Everyone's doing well tonight. We're a few hosts short tonight, but joining me as always is Breeze Riley. Breeze, how you doing tonight?
Good. We have to make the joke that it's not Frost or Caitlin, just like it's not Lacy or Tatiana. It's someone new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now it's like I completely forgot that Lacy was going to be gone the same week as Toddy. So, but I know Lacy is in LA right now, getting ready for Gallifrey Con. Toddy is at a pretty cool event, but hopefully next week we'll all be back. But we have a special guest with us. You've heard him here on the podcast before, and he is one of the many hosts of DC Studios podcast. It's my honor to welcome back Keenan to the Flash Podcast. Keenan, how you doing tonight?
Hello, not to be confused with Keone. I'm Keenan.
Oh my gosh, I hadn't even thought. Yeah, we really nailed it. Between our ongoing joke about Lacy and Tatiana being the same person, and then Keenan showing up.
Well, then Keenan just needs to get some blue hair streaks then, I guess.
And some very intense blue eyeshadow.
You know, compared to other like intense makeup I've seen on the Arrowverse, like in the Arrow shows, like Keone's is actually pretty good. Like it's actually pretty decent. Daniel Patrick, she did post on her Instagram that like some of the alternate looks with the hair streaks, and I wish they had kind of stuck with the ones that were like where the blue was just down here and not like all over the place. Maybe that will kind of evolve throughout the season. But yeah, so he's gonna be joining us tonight to talk about episode 2 of The Flash season 9. But before we do that, we had some news that came out. Finally, it's now out in the public. I feel I'm gonna be saying that a lot this season. So it's not to be a douche, but ladies and gentlemen, a lot of you have been asking for him, and he is coming back. TV Line reports that Teddy Sears is officially returning to the series as Hunter Zolomon, aka Zoom, one of Eric Walsh's favorite Flash villains. And of course, John Wesley Shipp as beloved Jay Garrick, the Golden Age Flash, is also returning for the final season. And here's what Eric said about both their appearances for season 9. About Hunter Zolomon, he said, as one of our most memorable villains ever, he scared and delighted audiences in season 2, and now I'm happy to announce that the brilliant Teddy Sears is coming back as the I can't even see, as the evil Zoom, aka Hunter Zolomon, for one more battle against Team Flash. It's a reunion I've been hoping could happen for several seasons, and now I'm so excited that we're finally able to bring Teddy and incredible talents back into our Flash family for our epic, emotional 9th season. So get ready to be frightened again, Flash fans. And about John Wesley Shipp, he said, Flash fans had loved John Wesley Shipp's heroic and heartwarming portrayals on our show since its inception. So it's a huge honor to have John back as part of our epic final season. This time, John lent his incredible talents to an incredible emotional story, one that sheds new light on Barry Allen's tragic past. So, Keenan, are you excited? I never heard you about. I never talked to you about Zoom. Are you excited to see Zoom come back, and how are you feeling about good old Jay Garrick?
I love John Wesley's ship, so I'm like, yes, give him to me always. And Zoom was very creepy, so I'm excited to see, a little bit of that. I mean, we're getting flecks of horror with Red Death, so I'm like, are y'all gonna give me nightmares this season? I want them. Give them to me.
Now, Breeze, I just because I've never talked to Breeze either about Zoom because she wasn't on in season 2. But like, are you excited to finally see Teddy come back as Zoom? And how are you feeling about good old Jake Eric?
Yeah, I'll be very interested to see how they incorporate Zoom into the storyline because he's someone we haven't really revisited in a while. I think we mostly only talk about him when we talk about Caitlyn's terrible love life. Now she has no luck in that area. And of course, I'm excited to have John Wesley Shipp back. As a Stargirl fan, we got a little bit of him on that season too, but it's always nice to have him back on the Flash.
Yeah, I'm glad that the Teddy thing is out now because I was trying to get Eric to kind of say something when we were talking to him, me and Todd a couple of weeks ago, but obviously, like if you look at Eric's face, like you could tell that he was so giving away that yeah, of course, he's coming back, and I'm very curious what this post-crisis Hunter's Almanac is going to be like because I wrote up an article about it on Screener today, and I had even remind myself that post-crisis, the only thing that really changed about Hunter was that he, instead of coming from Earth 2, he originated from Earth Prime's entire time in this history. So I wonder what else has changed because last time we saw him, he was dead, because he was Black Flash that got killed. Somehow Killer Frost killed off the Grim Reaper, as one does, but we're not going to get into that because otherwise we'll be stuck here for a few hours. But I'm happy Zoom is coming back, and because again, this is the final season. We want to see our fan favorites come back, and of course, I mean, John was it was obvious that he was coming back as Jay Garrick. We know he's doing something else, not as Jay Garrick later in the season. So, they didn't specify in this report when we're going to see them, but because I believe, as we speak, they have started a series finale. And they've started filming the series finale in Vancouver, Canada. And I don't know if Zoom is meant to maybe be appearing in the finale or if he's already appeared and they're only now announcing it. Again, we will see. But this is again, fun news. I know I've seen some fans complain that they feel like we're getting too much announcement. Would you agree, guys, about that?
Do you mean they're... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I would like a surprise. Like, save a little something for me to go when I actually see it and not tell me all the things in advance.
Yeah, I definitely agree that it's nice to have the surprises, though we also know it's really hard to keep those with the amount of photos that get taken of them filming. I think for me, the bigger, not concern, but we have so few episodes this season, and we're already through 2 of them. Then when they keep announcing guest star after guest star, it's kind of like, okay, how are all these pieces gonna fit together?
Okay. Breeze, cut out the BS. We know what you're really asking for. You're asking to get the announcement of who's playing Jenna this season and how many episodes she's gonna be in. Like you're so full with Breeze Riley. Like you're trying to complain about
Actually, I was thinking I'd rather have Cisco more than anyone they've announced so far, but including Baby Jenna. If I had to choose between them, it would be a tough choice. But I think I would love to see a Cisco announced next.
That would be glorious. Give us some Cisco, please.
I'm not gonna say anything. What I will say is, let me answer this question because there's, do they have an air date for the series finale yet? Well, what we're hoping for is that it is not gonna be on May 17th, because Breeze decided to go on a trip that
No, it's May 11th, not May 17th.
Oh. Wait a minute, hold on. Let me do some math here. Math. I thought I said something completely different there for a second. That means if they just do 2 more hiatuses, If they do 2 hiatuses and they can just stretch it out to the 17th, that would be kind of perfect.
That's what I'm saying. I know we all hate hiatuses, but for my sake, please,
Yeah.
please don't we have at least
Yeah.
2
Like, may the hiatus be in your
We
favor.
need, but the thing is, like, I mean, we can find ways for Breeze to watch the episode. Like, that's not going to be a problem. It's just going to be like, if she's in Europe, what will, I mean,
we can talk about this offline, but there are other reasons why I might not want to spend my 30th birthday in Greece podcasting about the Flash. So.
That's fair.
oh, that it would be on this. Oh yeah, it would be directly on the birthday, because I thought your birthday was on a Friday this year. My bad. Let me see what the chat is saying. How's everyone? Says Ollie, we're doing well, thank you. John Patter asks, good evening, Annie. Who's our special guest? This is Keenan from the DC Studios podcast, long-time listener of pretty much every podcast on the network. Which, again, like the first time he told me, I'm like, oh, he's just bull crapping right now because he wants to get on the show. But he was like, no, I listened to all of them, and like he like started referencing like what they say on this podcast. I'm just like, oh wow. But thank you. This is he's been on the podcast before, so yeah. A lot of people are saying I thought Zoom died. It's a comic book show, y'all. Come on. Like, how many times has Sarah Lance died and come back?
Does anyone ever really die?
Which is a good segue into our main discussion.
Ollie has 13 episodes and we still have a hiatus. Well, here's the thing: you got to remember, when they take these hiatuses, it's not just because they're airing like other things. They're like they don't want to compete with certain things they're airing that same night, but it's also because they need time to also finish the episodes. Like for something like the series finale, because if they're filming from this week, they're ending in the first week of Mars. That means that they're probably they're getting a little extra period time, I think, to shoot the finale. That means that they want to make sure it looks as good as possible, despite it being under the David Zaslav Warner Brothers era. I'm panicking that David is going to come like in the 11th hour and pull budget from the series finale and be like, actually, no, I like tax write-downs.
We can just set up a GoFundMe.
Yeah, yeah.
It's special effects.
Oh my god, I am so tired of that man. And I haven't even met him, so it's hilarious. But let's get to episode 2 of season 9, called Hear No Evil. And it was written by Jonathan Butler and Kristen Kim, and directed by our good buddy Eric Wallace, who is the showrunner of The Flash. So, Bree, see, I said her name right this time. Kick us off with a storyline.
Yes, since Lacy is not here, I will have to soldier on and carry the Frost / Caitlin / now Snow mantle, because we start the episode with Barry meeting Snow, is what we call her for most of the episode. We'll get to her other name later on, but we meet her and find out that she and Mark successfully built a new CRC machine. They put her in there. They thought they were going to get Caitlin and Frost back. And instead they get a third Snow sister, is what they call her, who's an amnesiac and does not know who she is or anything really other than what Mark has told her. And everyone's pretty shocked by this since, Barry explicitly told them not to do this. And Mark's just like, you know what? We couldn't trust you. We just need your help now to get a new power source so that we can use the CRC machine since it shorted out last time. And they try that, and then of course we find out that there's more to the story. That Mark is still trying to resurrect Caitlin, and it's not enough to just have a new power source. They need to find. There's lots of technical explanations, and I did write down these words, even though I don't know what any of them mean. But they wanted to unzip her neural DNA to isolate Frost's brain pattern, but then they find out that that's not enough. That they actually need her endogenous neural imprints. I don't know where they are getting all this science from, but it's very impressive, from Thomas Snow's files. And there's lots of conflict with Mark because he thinks that they're all giving up on Frost, and they're like, no, we're not doing that. But then they find out from Thomas's research that they cannot revive both of them at the same time. This process will kill one of them, which is why he never tried to separate them in the first place. And then they put it to a team vote, which I'm not going to lie, it's kind of awkward to be voting on the fate of Caitlin. But, they have the vote, and Barry says he can't decide. And Mark's like, you know what? I'm going to do it with or without you. And then they have the genius idea to ask Snow, the living human who now exists, what she wants out of it. And so Cecile talks to Snow and kind of gets a better sense of how she's feeling. And Barry decides that she should be the one to choose. Thomas Snow never made the decision for Caitlin, that he kind of let things happen on their own. And she ends up deciding to stay herself and choose her own path and names herself Keon, which we know from earlier seasons is like a Greek god of snow, and there's some implications that she has connection to nature, though we don't see her have any powers yet. And then Mark flips his lid and is very upset that they're not going to try to save Frost. So it seems like maybe he's not going to be a part of Team Flash the rest of the season. And then Hartley comes in and destroys the machine, which we will talk more about Hartley shortly. But that is kind of like the crazy plot of how we find out that Caitlin is now dead, and there's a third Snow sister who is neither Frost or Caitlin, but is now Keon. So yes, I really wish Lacy was here for this episode, because I'm sure she has many thoughts, but I'm sure she'll share those next week. But we'll start with our guest Keenan, not to be confused with Keon, to see what he thinks.
I said, well, I guess this is something different for Danielle. If she's gonna have a good time doing this new character, I'm interested to find out, like if she's gonna have some kind of nature abilities, whether it's controlling water or the weather or whatever. That'll be fun. And I'm here for like her scene with Cecile was very cute. So I said, I can get along with this ride. I just hope that we get to be reunited with Caitlin before the end of this show. I'll be a little salty if I don't get any more Caitlin.
I mean, Eric has promised us that we will, get an ending for Caitlin, whatever that means. It just might not come in the form that we expect. So who knows what that means? That man likes to say vague things to us. So
I had to go back and look at one of the things that he said about when we were talking to me and Todd with him about Caitlin, and it was that there will be a satisfactory ending to Daniel Panabaker's arc, and he was using those like Daniel Panabaker specifically. So this is what because this is what I'm very. This is the thing that is very conflicting for me throughout the whole episode, because everything else it works. I mean, Mark is a SOB. Like I got it. Like, listen, I know I've been thirsty for him in the past 2 seasons, but man, that boy just flipped. Like again, and here's the thing, because we have to keep reminding ourselves that this is only like a week or 2 after the season 8 finale, so we have to remember like this is still an emotional mark, but the fact is that he just flips so easily, which is very strange to me. But the thing is, the whole thing with Keon is again, it has been so intriguing just to see how many people really thought like they thought for sure that she was gonna be Crystal. I'm just like, oh, y'all don't know what's coming, because I had even forgotten what Keon was, so I had to like Keon the Flash search for it, and I'm like, oh, this is from a few seasons ago. And here's the problem. Last year, they had the Earth Prime comic come out, and we literally see Caitlin in the future. Like, she's older, she's running her own company, and she's helping Bart or whatever and so on. So for me, it's hard for me to all take this arc seriously. And I don't mean that in a critical bad way. What I'm saying is, I was not like I'm not sitting here and being worried about, oh, we're never gonna see Caitlin again, because like, well, the comics already given her away. But at the same time, who is to say that this season doesn't end with her still being Keon, but then maybe becoming Caitlin, in off-Screenville years from now, before we see Caitlin in the future. So it's like, I think what has happened here is, and I completely understand Eric and the writers again, and I understand people have their issues with this arc. There was a lot of people really conflicted about this. I think with this arc in mind, I think they were intended this to be something that would also cross into season 10. And once they got the call that season 9 will be the final one, I think they were kind of like, oh, now we kind of have to stick to, we only have this amount of episodes left we can do things with. So,
and I feel like Danielle has kind of referenced that in some of her comments, that they did not expect to have so few episodes to tackle this storyline.
yeah, and that seems very much of a CW next star thing to do, like, because remember, the announcement this was going to be the final season came like almost right after they had revealed this is, next star is acquiring CW. So I feel like this is a CW thing, and maybe even a Warner Brothers thing because of Discovery and everything. But yeah, it's I can, because I've seen that last Netflix, I already seen Netflix episode, and I can say that there's more with Kyon, obviously. And what I will say is, as rude as I felt it was to just have the characters not even like agree properly that Caitlyn is now gone, I will say I do like Kyon. Like, I like the Zen Frost, the persona, and so on. Like, it's like, because we've seen Caitlyn with a lot of emotional baggage over the last couple of seasons. So to just get to see them Panabaker play something, joyful. Yes, I mean she's playing someone weird because she's a little bit been born out of science. So, and I kind of want to see how this plays out. But I would be very shocked if by the end of the series we don't have Caitlyn back. I would be very shocked if that's what's happening. But yeah, this was something that really, because again, I will say this episode is definitely a bit of a step down this from last week's episode, because this arc is, I feel like this episode will age better once we see how it plays through, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I did pull up Eric's other quote from Den and Geek just to make sure I'm not butchering his words. He said, "Yes, you will get an ending to the Caitlyn storyline through this new character." So that's a very sneaky way of saying things. But yeah, no, the positives are, I definitely thought Danielle Panabaker did a great job with this character, especially her end speech when she makes her big decision to stay herself and give herself a chance to find out who she is. I thought it was a really good performance and such an interesting, just a very different character than Caitlyn or Frost. So I'm excited to see what she does with this character throughout the season. I think the conflict it sets up with Mark is interesting. I've not seen any future episodes, but if I have to guess, this, he might end up, being turned against Team Flash, maybe by Red Death or something like that. I think that would be interesting. But overall, I was not happy with the idea that everyone's just like, oh, Caitlyn's dead now, we're sad, but there's nothing we can do. It just felt very unceremonious goodbye to a character who's been there since. And I know, like, we've done the Caitlyn and the Frost, and then there's Caitlyn and Frost, so it's like always been a little weird with her character, but it just felt like very uncertain. At least Frost kind of had a connection to Caitlyn. I feel like this character, they're like, oh, Caitlyn would have liked her, this is what Caitlyn would have wanted. It's like she literally doesn't know who Caitlyn, to me, it just felt kind of disconnected. And to your point, maybe it will age better when we get the full storyline. But right now, I'm just kind of like, really? That's how you're treating a character who's been here since day one? Just because it's the same actress doesn't mean you can just kill her off and have her play a new role. I don't know. It did kind of bother me.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of this was mostly to push Blaine over to the rogues. Blaine? Blade?
Chillblaine.
Thank you.
His human name is Mark.
Yes. Mark. Just to push him over to the rogues. Like, he just kind of 90 to nothing. It was wild.
It was, yeah, and I think it's because because it's, if this had taken place like 6 months from now, like from the season 8 finale, I feel Mark would have been a little more rational. But again, it's like, and the fact that they managed to, like, because there's the scene at the beginning where, like, after they talk to Kyon and Mark and they all go away, Mark and Kyon are still there, and they're like, "How did I do?" I'm like, "Wait, you're talking about it as if you've been like planning this for months." Like, it was really strange to me. So yeah, this episode is a bit of a step down from last week's episode because this is because this is a story that I think they're asking us to take this on very quickly, and after because the season premiere was so delightful. It was so much fun as to spend. It had all those good things we love about the Flash, and then we get here and it gets very angsty again, and also again like the idea of voting on which one gets to come back. And I wish at least they could be like, okay, for now, let's just see how. I'd rather them just say, I don't. If one of them you could have just said out loud, I don't think Caitlin is going to be gone forever. That's the thing. I kind of wish that someone would just acknowledge that. That's why they're not grieving as much. But when they don't say anything, it looks like they're like just like, oh, whatever. And Caitlin was like one of the last few like original characters we had from like the beginning of the series, and now here is where we are. Let's look at the chat a little bit. We'll see what people are saying. Cypher Jen says, I think Snow was freaked out that they were voting on her fate. Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't be? Liv says, this show likes to play Sophie's choice, apparently. You're not wrong. Cypher Jen goes, I don't want a copycat version of Marvel Storm. I don't think they can afford to make her their version of Storm. And B Stretchker says, yeah, it seemed a wrong way to end Caitlin. Yeah, and that's why I feel like I'm hoping again. We still have 11 more episodes, so there's plenty of time to figure things out for sure. But yeah, let's. I'm gonna take over the B story because we have there's a lot of rogues this season, and one of them is the return of Harley Rathaway, aka Pied Piper, and he needs Team Flash's help to take on the new Fiddler. Because the Fiddler goes after him at his club, and it's a lot of vibration in this episode. A lot of sonic screams, Black Canary without any actual Black Canary, and we see we see Harley working together again with Team Flash, and there's a point where Barry even has to kind of save Harley from himself. So Keenan, what was it like seeing Pied Piper back and this part of the episode?
I'm gonna be honest. I do not remember Hartley at all, at all. But when I started seeing, I've said this many times, we don't get as many boy gay storylines in these shows. And I spent most of my time on edge just saying, they better not bury any gays in this episode. I'm going to be very pissed and I will riot. But I thought it was cute. I liked his scenes with Keone. I like that we got a little kiss at the top with his boyfriend Roderick, and that's really all the notes I have on this. I was like, oh, I wish I had more time to go back and watch another episode that he was in.
Yeah, he hasn't been back since season 6, so it's like okay. he's only been on the show I think like a total of. Like, was it like 2 or 3 episodes in season 1, then 1 episode in season 2, and then I don't think we saw him for quite a while.
I thought we had seen him post-Crisis, though.
Okay.
Yeah. We did.
I was trying to.
Okay. It was one of the final one of the final 2 episodes that aired before the pandemic. Like, really screwed everything up. Because they were supposed to end with 22, and then 19 was their finale. But Breeze, how did you feel about seeing Harley's return and kind of like the rogues action going on this season so far?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really enjoying having the rogues this season, especially what it's kind of building towards, which I think we'll talk more about with that ending. But I thought it was great. To Keenan's point, I'm glad that they didn't actually kill him or his boyfriend. The Flash has not been the best about LGBTQ representation compared to other Arrow shows. Like, we had Nora, but aside from her, we haven't really had a ton. So I'm glad for that. I was a little confused because, and my memory is not always the best, but I thought Hartley had been a good guy for a while, but he made it seem like he only stopped doing crime because of his boyfriend, which I'm like, okay, that's also cool, I guess. I liked his little club. I think for me, the bigger issue with the story wasn't Hartley, because we are familiar with him, and I actually kind of like that he and Kyun ended up having a little bit of a bond, because, our labs with like Cisco and Caitlin, so we kind of knew them. My bigger issue was with the fiddler portion of the story, just because, and Irish references like, oh, is it I forget her name, and it's like, no, this is a different fiddler, but she just kind of came out of nowhere. We didn't really get any backstory for her other than we know who she was working for. So to me, like, the state, and we eventually learn, I don't know if I can go ahead and say we know she was trying to steal Hartley's cuffs, but it just wasn't very good motivation. So to me, like, on top of it, there's a reason that the rogue story was actually the B plot this week instead of the A plot. Just because there wasn't a ton of substance there compared to the Caitlyn storyline. So I'm glad that he's returning for more episodes, because I think he can be an interesting character, but pairing him up with the fiddler and this whole kind of C plot about Red Death kind of accruing these rogues to do their dirty work just didn't completely work for me. But I thought it was a fine Rogue of the Week storyline, but for the second episode of the season, it was a little weak.
I mean, I've always been a huge fan of Pied Piper on the show, and I wish we had seen more of him. And I agree with Scratcher in chat. Harley would have been a better team member than Mark. I like that he returned. Yeah, like the thing is, a lot of people don't notice when the show was first casting, like for the pilot or whatever, so on. Harley was supposed to be part of the team. Like, he was supposed to be like a recurring character and so on. He was supposed to be part of the show in a bigger capacity. And then I don't know what happened with that, because then we got him like introduced later in the season for like 1 or 2 or 3 episodes. But no, but I love, yeah, again, I agree with Keenan, is that for like male queer relationships in the Arrowverse, that has not really been, they haven't really been strong with that. So, and like, yeah, with the, and here's the thing, just so people don't think that I'm just like kissing the Flash's butt or something like that. I can acknowledge that this has been a big problem with the Flash, that we haven't had LGBT representation, which is why I know, like, for example, last year Eric was trying to like really put out there, remind everyone that Nora Westalen, she's a lesbian woman, she's gonna marry a woman in the future and all those things. But I feel like if Harley would have been around from season 1, like if they'd stuck to the original plan, I feel like it definitely would have helped with the LGBT representation in that front. But also, I think, like, again, as we've lost other characters throughout the last couple of seasons. Yeah, like I think someone like Harley is way more natural to have on Team Flash than Mark, for example. And again, it's nothing against the actor, it's nothing against the character, but like, this Team Flash has been kind of a little bit all over the place, or like who's on the team, who isn't. It's like, again, it's like, Cecile, when do you go to work? Like, I'm like, girl, you're staying here way too often. So, but yeah, I thought it was fun. I always love the rogues, and the thing is, like, I like something simple as just Flash versus rogues, and I really do mean that, and it's. Rogues of War next week definitely lives up to the title. So, if people are excited for Rogues, there will be plenty to see next week. Mind the Gap goes, Flash characters on Team Flash? Question mark. I know. Yeah, let's see. Cypher Jen says he was a disgruntled Star Labs employee that caused lots of mayhem. Then he suddenly became a good guy later. Well, that's because in season 2, when Barry went back in time, he changed Harley's fate. And then I think it was after Christ says, because of the state of what happened to his boyfriend, that's why it was a very gray path of why he went evil again. But once he saved Roderick, he was good again. I agree, man. It was a mistake putting Captain Cole and Heatwave on Legends. Yeah, and again, I'm afraid to even talk about Legends in any negative way, because I know the fans are like, everyone is already labeling me as like a Legends hater, even though, like, I'm sad that it got canceled. I'm sad that I don't think it was fair how the show was treated. And I actually did enjoy Legends. Maybe I wasn't the biggest fan, but I enjoyed it. But yeah, one thing I've always been angry with Legends is that they took these two characters and then they killed off the best one in just season 1. And Ollie goes, "Work? What work? Or is she working remotely?" I mean, I'm pretty sure attorneys need to go to court to do
I
their
mean,
stuff.
if she's a defense attorney, which is what she allegedly is, then yes, she has to go to trial, unless she just negotiates like only plea bargains.
All pleas all the time.
Liv goes, "That's why people joke about burning Star Labs down, lol." I mean, I do think that we should have moved out of Star Labs a long time ago, and I think that we don't. But again, I get it. It's this has become more of an ensemble show. So because if this was just like Grant and Candace and then like 1 or 2 other characters, like they would have to be in pretty much every scene all the time. So that's why we have all these other supporting characters to fill out the screen time. But it all depends on also like what are they actually doing with that screen time. And sometimes there's been good stuff, and sometimes there's been not so good stuff. Liv goes, with everyone's supposed day job, we could have had a whole flashy Law and Order, but the writers chained themselves to the Cortex. That is kind of funny.
Just see how Martin said, "Been there, done that."
Yes.
Law and Order.
Dun dun.
Oh my god, that would have been funny. John Petter asks, "Is the cast season tomorrow making an appearance in the final season of The Flash?" As of right now, they're not. When we talked to Eric a few weeks ago, I pointed out, like, "Is there any chance for anyone from Legends showing up this season?" He said, "Probably not." It's again, they're writing a Flash series finale, not a Legends, not a Batwoman, not a Superman Lois series finale. Like, this is the Flash's ending. It's not like it's not up to the Flash writers to have to give the Arrowverse an honorable end, because this is the Flash's final season, not the final season of Arrowverse. Even though we know that the Arrowverse is essentially going away, it's not upon one show to have to wrap up everything. So, but now let's get to the C plot, which it's we find out why Fiddler and also Captain Boomer have been stealing some of these weapons and techie tech, and that's to help their good old boss, the Red Death. And we find out that they've also been like in this kind of like vibrating frequency state. I can't explain the science on the show, so I just say words that I think of when I see that scene.
Am I crazy, or I feel like the science just gets like more and more convoluted every season? Like, I cannot even try to keep up
I mean, it's
anymore.
I can accept it's a comic book show, but it's the only thing that I don't like is having to try to recap it. Like, I just feel like, let's just talk about this thing. But we do, they help Red Death, and we get our first proper look at this vicious supervillain cackling on the top of some building in Central City, and they are like they're mad. They're mad. They're really mad at the Flash.
Yes.
Keenan, how are you feeling about Red Death so far?
Listen, I love me some Javisha Leslie. I am so excited to see what is going to happen here. So I was like, okay, they had to take this stuff to make them, I'm just going to say corporeal. I know that's not the right word for what we had to do to make them solid. But so now we have this red evil thing with a broken bat on its chest, monologuing atop a building in the city. And I'm like, oh, shoot, what's about to happen?
Yeah, this show is the PG one, so
yes, I was like, oh, can't do that on this one.
It's fine. It's fine. Yes, I mean,
so,
this is a sick costume.
It is. Do we know if this is like a multiverse, like someone from another Earth, or if this is a person from the future?
I don't think it's been officially confirmed which one, but I think our common theory is multiverse, right?
I'm not saying anything.
Okay, Andy can't say anything.
Andy can't give us any.
That's my theory, the multiverse.
Okay.
But because in the future, but then again, with in the future scene where Iris and Thawne are engaged or whatever, Ryan mentions Red Death or something like that. So
the lady in red.
Oh, the lady in red. Yeah. Okay.
I thought isn't Alice called like the Red Queen or something like
Red
that? That's what
Alice,
I
yeah.
thought that would
That
that's what I
that's what
thought that was a
everyone
reference
thought.
to.
That's
But
what everyone thought, and I think Caroline Dries said something like, "No,
oh,
I don't remember." But
I guess we will find out.
yes, tell me. I love Javisha, and I
me
just
too.
want to hear. I just want to see her face, and I want to see her and Iris on screen together. That's what I want.
Breeze. I don't remember last time we had a villain that just cackled, like at the end of an episode. Like, what did you? Okay, I'm not. It's not me dragging the show. Like, I thought it was just funny because I'm like, I don't remember last time like a speedster just ran up to a building, stopped phasing, and then just cackles like crazy. But what are your like? Are you enjoying Red Death so far?
Yeah, I really like how they're incorporating the rogues leading up to kind of Red Death going after Barry. I think it's a smart way to kind of make sure that we're getting like a lot of the classic Flash villains in this season while still leading up to the big bad. So what we've seen of them so far, I do like how they're building up to it. I'm super curious about why they hate Barry because we know in the comic book version why they killed Barry, but we have no idea what their motivations are for this version. So I'm very curious.
Again, I think the studio is phenomenal. I think again, I saw a lot of people that were getting like Zoom vibes.
Yeah.
I think it's because again, the Zoom costume in season 2 is not even from the comic. That's something they kind of made themselves. So I can understand there's similar. I don't think it's intended to be a similarity. It's just that, well, this is who Red Death is in the comic. This is what they look like. So, deal with it. But the suit is phenomenal, and like I love just again, I love that this show can do horror. Because I know Eric. We know Eric loves horror a lot, so it's fun that they're able. And again, because I know a lot of fans, they really wanted to see Red Death, and I'm glad we're getting it. So another thing, people who say that this show doesn't listen to its fans, it does listen to its fans, but they will try the best they can to give us what we want. Some that it can happen, some that it cannot happen. But all I will say is that you all will definitely want to watch next week's episode. And like, if you all are not able to watch it live, I beg you, do not go on Twitter and get accidentally spoiled, especially on this current Twitter owned by you know who. And you don't want this episode ruined for you. Like it is like I cannot stress this enough. Um but let's see what people in the chat have to say. I guess maybe it's hyper time. Wow, that would be funny. I'm stuck in hyper time. Speeches goes, I thought Red Death came from another planet in the multiverse. Liv goes, I hope it's multiverse because I don't want R. Barry to have to hurt R. Ryan.
That's a good point. I feel like people will not like that.
Electra, hey Electra, good to see you. Says, I think Red Death is from another Earth, and that's why she was vibrating. She wasn't in sync with Earth Prime. Well, that's yeah, because remember in season 2 when we had it was towards the end of the season, and we had Black Siren come in and the army of Earth 2 metahumans. So and then they just literally changed the frequency of Earth 1, and that's why like they were hurting and they couldn't do much of so maybe Electra's onto something. Strategy goes, yes, it is prize of impending doom for Barry. I mean, but that's why it's called the Flash. Like, we can't let him have it too easy. But yeah, I am overall it's a little bit of a mixed bag for me with this week's episode. I guess that one thing we could talk about, two more things we could talk about is one, the Joe wants to seal dilemma. I mean, they should leave Central City. I don't know if here's the thing. It has nothing to do with how I felt about Cecile before as a character. Because here's the thing. The only thing that doesn't work with me about Cecile are her powers. I think otherwise, when she is there to be a supporting force of nature for anyone on the team, I think that Nicole does that really, really well. But I have never considered Cecile like a superhero on Team Flash or anything like that. So I feel look at her as like a occasional member. And yeah, like honestly, like I feel that they should leave Central City together, and that for her because yeah, I know there's fans that will shade her, or whatever, and so on, but it's like she's held out a couple of times, but she isn't like the bread and butter of Central City's protection. It is the Flash, and because like, she's not the one that has this big legacy in the future. So it's Barry. So, and again, here's the thing: it's a CW show. I get they have to have a little drama, but this is just like I can't believe this is also what we're getting with Joe as they're kind of like wrapping up his character. Like I feel the more natural thing to do, even though it is a pretty big story to do off screen. I would have preferred if he like was starting to run for mayor and he was busy with campaigns or whatever and so on, or like maybe he was trying to get into the government and he has to actually go to like maybe to Washington D.C. something like that, maybe fight for medical human rights or something. Not something this emotional where it's like you're already giving us a lot to deal with this week with Keown and everything, and then Mark's whole thing, and it's just a lot to take. And I think that's why for me this episode is a bit of a step down. Again, it ends with a very fun way. We talk, with the club scene and everything, and a blooper reel in the credits, which has never happened before on The Flash.
Brilliant.
What do you guys like, Keenan? Like from all the things I mentioned, like how do you feel about these aspects of the episode? Like as we kind of get ready to wrap up.
I see where Joe is coming from, and I definitely feel you on Cecile's powers, and I think that was one of the reasons why I liked her scene with Keown. Because we didn't have to like have her relying on her powers to dictate what was going on to the other character. But I would like to see them kind of shift aside so that we can let the rest of the team story play out.
Breeze, is that how you feel too?
I mean, I agree it's not really a satisfactory direction from Joe, but they've been kind of hamstrung, I guess, a little bit by Dale Martin stepping back and now leaving, going to do another show. And, since he and Cecile are not married, but they are raising a child together, their storylines are kind of intertwined. It's just unfortunate because they've built Cecile up so much. Whether you like it or don't like it, it just feels a little abrupt to be like, oh, we have to move. It's like, oh, now you care your wife's in danger. Now you care about the future of your child who we never see. Like, it just feels like kind of a little insincere, unfortunately, because they have to find a reason to get them out of Central City. And I think pretty much ever since Joe's retired, it's just kind of felt like the show didn't know what to do with him. Sure. So I don't love it, but I also understand that that's reality. Sometimes actors leave and you have to figure out a way to write them out. And it's when you only have 13 episodes to begin with, it's, you can't please everyone all the time. So I don't hate it, but I don't love it.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully they deal with it better in coming episodes. But again, yeah, that's the thing that I feel like something we're going to be seeing a lot this season on the podcast is there's not enough time. Like we only have 13 episodes. Cypher G, we would love to know that too. Why isn't Joe Cecile married yet?
Like literally all they have to do is go down to the courthouse. Like they don't even have to have a wedding or anything, but like you're so worried about your baby mama, but you won't marry her. Like, come on, Joe.
But I think with that said, let's do some listener feedback. I will take tweets and Facebook this week since Lacy isn't here. But we have from Super Ali said, last episode was great. I love they gave Keown her own choice. The B plot was good to move the oral theme to move forward. She has like a definitely needs to sit down and talk. Yes. I love the ending of all of them from at the club dancing, aka it's Ollie 10:35 on YouTube. Yeah, the club scene. Oh my god, that was so much fun. It's funny that Grant Gustin has to like fake that he can't dance, but then like I realized he literally. I tweeted about it last night. He literally when he's like telling Iris, "Oh, I'm a great dancer," and he turns around. He literally does a dance that I did with a friend of mine that I prefer. When we met each other for the first time, we became friends at Comic Con. I don't know why we're dancing, but that's exactly the dance we were doing. And I'm like, now I feel like he's not even trying to like pretend to dance bad. I think he's just like trying like, oh, watch how Andy dances, and you will get that will I know that's obviously not it, but I felt like I feel so like casually called out, and but yeah, Iris her looks in this episode again. I need her as my own stylist, and yeah, I love we're getting these moments with West Allen this season, like I will say this. There is a lot of West Allen moments next week. That's all I will. That's all I will say. Did you like the club scene too, Keenan?
I loved it. And listen, I always look for an outfit in an episode that makes me go, "Oh my god!" And Cecile's outfit in that club scene was everything. It was that like one shoulder situation. She was giving us 80s. I was here for it.
Yeah, Iris's dress. Again, the thing I wish that the show had done was at some point just like show her and Barry going shopping, just to like what is her process like getting these outfits. But Breeze, any thoughts on the club scene and whatnot?
I loved it. That was Eric's gift to us after he traumatized us with this snow storyline and then Caitlin dying. So it was, it was a really fun scene. It reminded me of some of the earlier seasons when they like would go out and Barry like would not get drunk. I don't know, or like I think they did karaoke in one episode. So I just thought it was really fun way to cap the scene. So hopefully we continue to get these like more fun, lighthearted scenes throughout the season.
Then we're gonna go to Facebook and Instagram from John Benpel. Says, "Hi everyone at the Flash podcast. First, I want to tell everyone that I saw the new trailer for the Flash movie during the Super Bowl, and I can't wait to see the film this summer. Second, I had a hard time following this episode, especially since the episode picked up right where the premiere left off, and mentioning a former taking Flash member, which I didn't understand. Overall, I did enjoy watching this episode and look forward to another fun episode next week. And finally, I would like to hear everyone's reaction of the Flash film trailer during the Super Bowl." Well, Breeze, what do you? I say you decide what we do because I'm panicking eternally.
Oh well, I didn't watch it, so I cannot give my reaction.
Okay,
you're welcome to give your feedback. I made very clear how I feel about this movie.
Outside of the topic, the controversial topic around this movie, the trailer did look freaking phenomenal. And this looks like one of the most expensive DC movies of all time.
Yeah.
Keenan, any thoughts on the trailer?
I feel like there are other people in this movie that I want to that put some hard work into it, and Sasha Calle looks amazing. I love Supergirl, and I'm very excited to see what they're going to do for her. I did a trailer reaction video a little earlier today, and I almost screamed when I saw Michael Keaton. So
yeah. I'm panicking.
And it looks like he's going to have some good action sequences. I mean, clearly they're going to be stunt doubles in the mix, but like,
yeah, because I forgot how old. I forgot how old he is. Yeah, like it was sort of funny. It's almost like this 60-plus-year-old man, playing like he's like Arkham Asylum Batman from the video game. I'm like, now that you mention it, does look very much like those video games.
It's not too late to give us that Batman Beyond movie we all want. He's the right age for it.
Yeah. So I want to honor the other, like, fuck that. Sorry.
Keenan gonna get us censored.
It's fine.
Screw
It's
that.
fine. No, it's
Screw
fine. We
that
can.
kid.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
But I want to honor everyone else who put a lot of work into this movie, and I'm excited about Supergirl and Michael Keaton. And there's
Yeah, totally fair.
he's 71.
oh my gosh.
Obviously, I mean, he looks good for his age.
True.
Cypher, maybe you could do a bonus episode about the trailer later after the whole podcast cast has seen the trailer. Well, here's the thing. The Flash podcast will cover the Flash movie. It's unclear which of us are gonna do it, and which I think everyone perfectly understands why. We have on purpose not really talked about much about the movie because it's awkward. It's really awkward, and that's a light way of saying it. So let's go back to this TV show that doesn't get this type of drama. Michael Lou 6 says I loved it. Oscar _ Davy La 05 says I got mad at Iris for the first time in 9 years, and it got bad because they actually had
a vote. I think it's
a
supposed
vote
to be a vote.
on the bring up, but they actually had. But then why did you specifically get angry at Iris on the vote on who to bring back and like why? But I love the show and this episode. X Frost BS XL says I love Keone. She stole my heart already due to watching the episode. I was sure that she needs to make the decision, and seeing her happy at the end, that was everything. Plus, at least Caitlin and Frost are together now. Wow. Oh, someone has accepted that they're gone.
They accepted it as fast as Team Flash.
Poker Sharp 87 says worst episode in 2 years. No, not one part I enjoyed. The constant flashbacking to scenes from the episode prior is annoying. They seem to think us, the audience, can't understand subtly. Once again, Barry's main move is to throw a single lightning bolt and then talk it out. I will say this. I agree. This week there was a lot of flashbacks where I'm like, we don't. And I almost wonder if it's something that it's a style that CW Warner Bros. Wants the show to just do. Be like, since we're not doing it previously ons anymore, you need to do this instead. So like again, sometimes it worked, but this week I'm like, this is too much. This is way too much. And I mean, I don't think Barry's main move is to throw a single lightning bolt and just talk it out. He does a lot more than that. KV and _EN70 says Caitlin died. No, maybe it's Lacy's burner account. I'm kidding.
She doesn't need a burner. She tweets that from Maine.
Yeah, that's fair. Error _idea says there's a new rogue team coming, I think, with Red Death as its leader. Arrow _OTA _Lacy says the beginning had me worried it was going to be another horrible hour of Eric Walter's trope writing. Again, he didn't even write this episode, you guys. He just directed it. Writing with a dumb blue tinted flashbacks to last week's episode. But after the first 10 minutes, it was enjoyable acting. The acting was great across the board. Really elevated the episode best part. Barry didn't annoy me. He felt like a leader for the first time, in my opinion. I hope we get this Barry for the rest of the season. Red Dead looked very good. Goldface back for next week's episode. The one Eric character I really like. So hopefully next week is good too. Listen, Goldface was introduced during the Todd Helbing era, so I would say there's some good stuff with Goldface next week. At West Allen _ my homie says, I never in 1 million years thought I would say that, but I feel bad for Caitlin. The way they glossed over her death was out of character. Felt a little bit like last season where I was missing and people were playing games. As bad as Eric talks about them being a family, I don't know if he grasps the concept of that. Families don't play games or go dancing when one of them are gone or dead. I don't know why it's so hard for him to grasp it. Yes, we want light moments, but light moments come with light mindsets. Shoving trauma then just makes them feel insensitive, both character and written-wise, to their own and the viewers. Yeah, again, I think in a way, I think the episode is trying to say that some of them are not convinced that Caitlin is completely gone yet. But at the same time, it does make them look a certain way. And we really needed Lacy here this week. We really needed her. Like, she picked Gallifrey Con picked the wrong week to host that. Like, you need to follow the Flash Pocket schedule, Gallifrey Con. No, like, first of all, your silly little show doesn't even come back until October anyway. So No, listen, Doctor Who's could be amazing. I can't wait for Keen to start cosplaying. Did you see the new photo that came out yesterday?
I haven't seen it.
That's a
I'll
fake
be
fan.
Oh, with
Googling
like the
this
leather.
immediately.
It's like a leather jacket, I
Mhm.
think. Yeah.
I'll be looking that up after we finish recording.
Good. Let me see if there's any more comments. Again, guys, we appreciate you guys, tweeting in, using Facebook and Instagram to let us know. Because this is the final season we can do that with. Again, the podcast is not ending, but this is literally the last time we can do something like this. Let me see if there's anything else. Nope, that was it. So, Breeze, I see that these emails are pretty long, so if you want, I can help you out.
Yeah, if you want to do the shorter one in the middle, I'll do the first and third one.
No, I want to do Libby's. Screw you.
Okay.
I will do Libby's.
Okay. You didn't say you couldn't. My goodness. Please go
I
ahead.
saw it was the first email. No, Liv, you're good. Here's the thing.
No, you're good. It's just Tatiana's not here to split the bill with me.
But it's all
we love
good.
long emails.
So this is from Libby. Hi, Libby. If you're watching this at playback. Hi, Flash Podcast. I felt this episode was a step in the wrong direction in some respects. One being that we're back to everyone being stuck in Star Labs, and the tone just seemed very disjointed between the Harley and Snow story and other minor plots. The scenes just didn't flow into each other well and feel cohesive. The Harley story was silent, even though he was the guest star and facing up against the villain of the week. They spent so much of the episode on Snow that it just felt like an afterthought. I did appreciate the Izzy Bowen reference for continuity, noting her version of Fiddler was far more compelling than this one-dimensional rogue with visually confusing powers. I did love seeing Iris and Bear working together, being a united front, having a love scene at the end, and them having fun on the dance floor. They felt like a real married couple, and it's what we wanted for so long. I wish they didn't waste one of Jesse's last episodes on two short scenes, but I did love his dance moves. I mean, Jesse Mott, he can't do no wrong. Now to the ethical dilemma of this episode. The idea that he could actually bring back Frost back is ridiculous. She died along with her memories and her love for Mark. Oof. I don't think the machine would have actually brought her back. They probably would have just given Snow cold powers and she would have had no memories. Snow is just Caitlin with amnesia and blue clip-ins. Wow. So I honestly think bringing Caitlin back made the most sense. It's like if Bart from 321 chose not to have his memories restored. As discussed last week, it just doesn't make sense to erase a long-standing character in the final season. Now she doesn't have medical knowledge or cold power. She doesn't really add value to the team. Side note, does Barry have to keep paying her salary? I mean, if she's not doing any work, then I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's her life and her choice to make. Honestly, it was weird that the team were voting on her behalf in the first place. Also, why is Shieldman on Team Flash at all, let alone a series regular? He was just tagging along as Frost's boyfriend, so why does Barry have to keep him around? Other than having cold power, it doesn't make sense. Also, Mark lied to the team, acted selfishly at every turn, and his rage at the end was just unprofessional. It is a workplace after all. If Star Labs was a workplace, they need to have an HR department. They need to have regulations. I don't even think they've done inventory properly in a long time. If I were Barry, I wouldn't trust someone like that. I would rather Harley join Team Flash because he has a long history with the show, and I could care less about Chillblaine. Speaking of nonsensical team ups, why does Barry need to team up with random rogues next episode? He's powerful enough, so I will need a good reason why he reveals his identity to random criminals. Guess we'll have to find out. Thanks always reading this and chat to you next week. Cheers, Libby. There is actually a very good reason why he teams up with a lot of rogues. Yes. It is hard, y'all, to do embargoes. It is hard. So now, Breeze, you go.
Yeah, so Electra wrote in, "Hey Flash podcast team, here are my thoughts on this week's episode. Although I've had enough of the Caitlin / Frost / Snow / whoever the heck she is storylines, I kind of like Snow / Keon maybe more than the other two. When did Barry get all mature and start being the one who gives the important hard darts? I like it. Too bad I already got tired of Mark last season. I don't need to see another storyline focusing on him. It's nice to see the Pied Piper again. Glad he's sticking around for a while. To stop all new high-tech rogues coming out of the woodwork, it helps to have an old high-tech rogue on your side. On a side note, I'd love it if the writers could find an excuse to get Grant Gustin and Andy Mantis to sing a duet on the show, make it a Broadway trio, and add Jesse L. Martin to the sing-along too. I'd love if they could do just one more song.
Yeah, I will try. Maybe, I will see if I can ask, because I'm talking to Andy Mantis tomorrow at the time of recording. So I will say, like, hey, you have a good singing voice. Grant has a good singing voice. Jess has a good singing voice. Like, have you all talked about just like doing something musical wise? So, but go on, Bree. Sorry.
West Allen dancing was cute. I enjoyed seeing the outtake at the end of the episode. It was a nice callback to the episode where Barry is running around drunk and eating chicken wings while yelling, "I am the Flash" to everyone in the club. That's it for me. See you all next week. And then Liv writes in, "Hey y'all, haven't written an email in a minute, but had a lot of fun with your live last week. Thanks for tuning in last week and this week. And looking forward to tonight's. Wanted to make sure I got in my full thoughts. I apologize for the length, but once I started, I couldn't stop."
You're good.
We know how that is. We are the same way. So big positive was the cinematography via VFX quality again. I was still a little worried even after last week's episode that it wouldn't stay consistent because the show has a habit of saving their best for the first and last of the season and going back to normal in the middle. But I'm more confident of consistency here now. So kudos on that. I won't go in on the comic science plot holes or Barry pausing to Kiki with the villain because we're 9 seasons deep and have been screaming into the void all years.
Breeze, you're cutting out a lot right now.
Okay,
try to say something now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, let me know if I cut out again. I apologize.
It's okay. It's okay.
Seems like it's working on my end. I'll start back from also obvious positives were Wes Allen, which similar to the effects, I was initially worried about them giving us so much in the beginning so they could get lax again, but I was pleasantly surprised. They worked together well, didn't forget their alleged baby moon activities, and matched energies, especially towards Mark, which is deserved. But I was pleasantly surprised. Oh, I lost my space. Oh my gosh, sorry. I think my computer is low on battery.
No, I can take over if you need to figure it out. So the whole episode they were giving, "I am so tired of this matter of effort, LOL." Even Iris please and synced West Allen's side at Harley had me giggling. Best part for me though was Barry staying 10 toes down on his opinion of Caitlin's experiment and decision to destroy her lab. I agree. I don't like the fact that Mark was trying to be like, well, if you hadn't destroyed her lab. No, that's one of the best things from season 8. Usually whenever they give Barry a guilt storyline, they make him 180. But here he was able to express that he still feels bad for the way he lost Flaw and how that spiraled into death, but not that he tried to stop her from making what was clearly a mistake. Which brings us to Born Again, Caitlin Starr.
Oh my gosh.
Sigh, we could have had the Caitlin show, Meta Clinic, Flash, Grey's Anatomy. Maybe even a Caitlin founded Meta Science Research Facility or Meta Villain Rehabilitation Center dedicated to Frost's memory that connects to these reimagined rogues appearing. Instead, we got Caitlin being so hard-headed about playing Necromancer that she deleted herself. Created a world. Deleted herself. Deleted herself. And created a moral dilemma about which of the free human conscious deserves to be a real girl. Oh my god, I'm choosing to believe the Caitlin show's thing was also them implying that Caitlin knew about the irreversible brand new consciousness possibility from her father's hard copy research from when she visited her mom at the end of last season, and did it anyway because she was willing to risk herself for Frost. Because ain't no way she's trying to recreate her dad's research and just decided to dismiss part of it that she knows exists and is accessible. At this point, my conclusion is the writers don't like writing for Caitlin and haven't for a while, and thus want to see Daniel play Shorty from Sky High with a new favorite color instead. No, I there's no drama. I don't think there's any drama. I think it's just they're trying, find new ways to go with Caitlin as a character. Let's see. At this point, let's see. And I know she's not completely gone for real from an audience perspective, but in universe, they don't know that. So if I was still a Caitlin fan, I would probably be pissed. But alas, all I have left is unhinged laughter. I am trying. Oh my god. Just going to have to try and enjoy Miss Chili Misty Day. LOL. It is above us now. Honorable mentions. LOL at Cecile thinking Central City going to the underworld without her heroics, and Iris being over Barry's dance delusions in the club. This woman is really in love with the dork, and I love that for her. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week episode. Liv. Oh, Liv, that was glorious.
Can you please just send us in new nicknames for Keon every week so we can read them?
Yeah, like this is like, and for Tatiana to read them, like this was, Miss Chili Misty Day. Let's check in the chat. Let's check in the chat what people are saying before we wrap this up. Liv says it's just funny to me that Cecile being emotional over leaving, not because of everyone else who's staying, but because she literally leaving Central City without her protection. LOL. Yeah, Oh, Electra, why did you say this? Barry should have done the Wednesday dance. I will pay Grant Gustin money to put on Bloody Mary. Listen, here's the thing. We know Grant is cute. He would look cuter with some ponytails and some freckles and just the death stare and. Oh my God, Electra, why did you do this to me? I want him and is it because Grant is not on TikTok? Candace is. I would beg Candace on my knees, please convince her to do a TikTok and do a Wednesday tribute. B says the club scene was great. Let's see what else they're saying. Liv, it's perfectly fine. Don't worry. This was your long email. Here's the thing. That's why we tell people if you want to send longer listener feedback, do it at the email. Not send us like 6 tweets or something like that. Oh my God, Sci-Fi Gene goes. At this point, Snow would be better suited as a Star Lab secretary. They've never even had a secretary. Why would he start getting one now? Mind the Gap says it might be unpopular. It might be unpopular to say, but the logical journey for Kanan would have been her gaining powers, becoming Killer Frost, and leaving when her story concluded. Yeah, I think this show lost itself from the beginning when they started when in season 3 when they gave her powers. I don't think because I think they both wanted Caitlyn, but they also wanted Killer Frost. But they knew there's no way that Daniel could keep playing 2 characters every week for 22 episodes, and then it became short episodes because of the pandemic and so on. But it is yeah, I'm hoping that that Daniel Panabaker gets an honorable ending to her legacy on the show. No matter which of these damn Snow Sisters she's playing. Remember we had like 16 Harrison Wells on the show. By the way, you know what? I did a funny clip. I did a funny clip that I was gonna play that I forgot that I had. So I'm gonna play it now because this was basically that's why I'm glad we got the club scene with him just being happy again because this was Barry throughout the whole episode.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
The entire episode, y'all. And I love that he was so mature about it. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for us. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We'll be live again, of course, next week. Keenan, thank you so much for joining us tonight, talking about all of this. I don't hate this episode, but it is a letdown from last week, definitely. But next week, y'all, we're gonna have a good time. Yeah, we have some good stuff to talk about. But Keenan, where can we find you on social media, your podcast, and anything else you'd like to promote?
Oh my gosh! So I've changed all the things. So you can find me at Keeks on Camera on all the things. Except on Instagram, the O and on is a 0 because someone has Keeks on Camera as their spam account, and I'm still salty about it. But everything else is Keeks on Camera on all the things. You can listen to the Rewind podcast, which is another podcast I'm on. Our new episode drops tomorrow where we talk about Wolfpack, the new Sarah Michelle Gellar series on Paramount Plus. And we just did the Harley Quinn Valentine's Day special on DC Studios podcast. It was a wild ride. If you love Harley Quinn, go check out that episode.
And not Toddy. Wow.
You almost made it through the whole episode without calling me the wrong name.
You know what's gonna happen? One of these days, some mother effer is gonna go back into this podcast and then like try and like screen record episodes where I say her name wrong and be like, "See, Andy, this is the co-host that Andy cared for the least," and like I'm canceling him on Twitter now. So.
Please, if you have that much time on your hands, go do something else. You do not need to defend me. Please, go live your life.
Please, where are you on social media, your other project, or anything else you like to promote?
You can find me on Twitter at Breeze Riley. My bio on Telltale TV, MarvelReport.com. Keep an eye on that for some updates coming up. And I'm trying to remember the name because we renamed it again. DC Studios Podcast. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. This is. I promise that's the final name. We're not rebranding anymore. So. Otherwise, it's just gonna be like the David Zaslav podcast. I guess I don't know.
The Zazcast.
Zazcast.
What the going on in here on this day?
This is gonna be me in a couple of years.
I said if I didn't become a star by 35, I was just going to become a serial killer. Well, girl, how old are you? I'm getting nervous.
The more David Zaslav keeps doing stuff, that's gonna become me. Yeah, Keenan, I haven't even watched Drag Race, but like these clips are showing up on my YouTube reels and so I'm just like, F it, I'm gonna play it here. You can find me at Andrew Bite on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, which I just recently got verified on. So yay, it's the real me with my BS on Vero, YouTube, and Twitch. I know I haven't streamed in a while, y'all, but I've been busy. Also, I don't think y'all want to see me play Valorant when I'm like consistently stressed about like humanity and life and whatnot. If Jenna even exists. So, but I will be back to stream soon, I promise. And I write for Screen Rant. I'm a senior writer. I write a lot of news articles. I did recently speak to the lovely, magnificent Volley Parks from Superman Lois. So that interview will go up on Screen Rant, I believe, next week. And because I said Volley Park, we have to play that.
How are you doing, Tatiana?
I am doing great.
Mm-hmm. I will find a way, Miss Breeze. I will find a way. I can just sense that she's rolling, being like every episode he has to play that clip. So that interview is coming up soon. Had a lot of interesting things to say about season 3 or whatnot. And he's such a lovely guy. He's such a lovely human being. And you can also find me at the mall report, which again, Miss Breeze Riley is correct. There are changes coming. There's a lot of excitement coming in the coming weeks, and I'm really excited to share with you guys. So look for that. And just check my bio for all my other things. And for all our Flash fans, for those who are watching right now, tomorrow afternoon I will be speaking to Richard Hartman, who plays Captain Boomerang, and Andy Mientes, who plays Pied Piper, for the Flash podcast. It's 2 separate interviews. So like, if you guys have questions for them, send them my way or to at the Flash podcast, and I will do my best to get your answers. And now, because Andy finally got time to fix the damn plugs, you're all gonna be so proud of me. I spent the whole Sunday fixing this. So here are our Flash podcast plugs for the first time since I don't know when, so enjoy.
To find exclusive content and new episodes from the Flash Podcast, visit theflashpodcast.com. There you'll also find the latest info about the Flash TV show, movie, and comics.
TFP never strays far, so please find the Flash Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram if you should ever need us. And we need you to send us listener feedback on any of those platforms after each episode of The Flash. You can send your feels sporadically or wait for the graphic that appears every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, begging you to leave us your comments so we know you love us. XOXO, Gossip Flash.
Make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing to the Flash Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and anywhere else you listen to your podcasts. Want to support the Flash podcast? Leave a review and 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, which helps more Apple Podcast users find the show.
Enjoy what we're doing? Then you should check out the entire DCTV Podcast Network at dctvpodcast.com, where we have amazing shows for The Flash, Superman Lois, all the ongoing and upcoming DC shows on HBO Max, the upcoming DC Studios movies, The Sandman, as well as DCTV After Dark and lots of other fantastic podcasts, all available at dctvpodcast.com. You can follow the network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram simply at DCTV Podcast. Last but not least, be sure to subscribe to the network's mega feed on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and everywhere else you listen to podcasts.
DCTV Podcast has its own TeePublic store where you can get all sorts of fabulous Arrowverse and DCTV merchandise to broadcast your fandom in the real world. Click on the link in the show notes to start shopping and help support the network so we can keep making all these great shows. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/DCTV Podcasts and ring the notification bell for up-to-the-minute news about live broadcasts, exclusive interviews, special clips, and lots more.
And because we can never get enough of your beautiful words, you can also email The Flash Podcast at theflashpodcast@gmail.com anytime you want. Use it for longer listener feedback, questions about The Flash and DCTV, miscellaneous thoughts, or fanfic recommendations. We read every email, so don't worry, no Flash fan left behind.
I'm damn proud of those plugs, okay? I'm very proud. I know they're long, but like we spent a whole night, the four of us, last year, making all these clips, and then Cito was like, "F your mothers and your faces. We're gonna cancel a bunch of shows." You all know what you sign up for 9 seasons of this podcast. I will get shady. So, but I finally fixed it, and I know this. We played this right on the day when the news about Justice League Dark came out. I'm sorry, Breeze and Keenan. I'm sorry.
I have already, much like Team Flash has already accepted Caitlyn's death. I've already accepted this death because I knew it was coming.
Oh my god!
Listen,
But
I've moved on in anticipation of the new Swamp Thing project, and that's.
And you will get plenty of Breeze and Keenan on these studios podcast. There's gonna be so much more happening now there, but changes are coming, my friend, and not a moment too soon, as a good doctor once said. But yes, thank you everyone so much for tuning in. We'll be live next week on the same time, same bat channel. I'm kidding, same DC TV channel, to talk about episode 3 of The Flash, which, guys, I cannot stress enough how good it is. Like, look out for my tweets later this week. But for Tatiana and for Lacy, who will likely be back next week, I'm Andy Bebacht.
And I'm Breeze.
I'm Keenan.
And we'll see you next time on the Flash Podcast. Take care, everyone. Good night.
Night.